Welcome back to the Momentum Sports Podcast. Derek, let's talk about that SEC. Are they still the top dogs? Is the SEC the top conference in college football right now?
Well, if you think they're the top conference right now, I don't think so. I think the Big Ten are the top conference. Their rankings tell them that they're the top conference. Now, will that be that way? Well, we'll see how things work out. But I do think that it will be the Big Ten in my mind as the best conference. It's only because Alabama losing the Vandy, you know, Georgia going close to Kentucky.
Mm,
Those games are gonna hurt them. Texas and Ohio State were most dominant in the conference at the time, but then Oregon beats Ohio State, so that weakens that a little bit. But they were like number 2, number 3 at the time.
yeah,
So there's still Penn State. I think they're frauds. I don't think they're going to be that high in the end.
I feel the
I
same
don't even
way.
think they will make. I don't think they'll make the Big Ten championship. It all depends on Georgia. If A&M goes in and runs out and goes undefeated in the SEC
Yeah,
after just losing to Notre Dame, then we might be talking because
yeah,
they don't play Georgia. Then Georgia beats Texas. I mean, Texas beats Georgia. That's two really good teams going head to head and could
right.
be up in the SEC championship. So it all depends on the factors. If that scenario happened, I really do believe that the SEC would be better than the Big Ten.
See, I disagree with you there. I think the Big Ten is a solid conference, but if you look at playoff contenders, the SEC has more playoff contenders. When I think of playoff contenders of the Big Ten, I think of Ohio State, obviously. I think of Oregon, and Penn State can be in there. Outside of those teams, USC, nah. Michigan, nah. If I look at the SEC, I see Texas, I see Alabama, I see Georgia, and like you even mentioned, possibly an A&M. And we know from history, and I know every year is different. We're talking about this year, but I will say this is we know from history that Georgia can win championships. They can get it figured out. Alabama has a history of being able to figure it out, win championships. Kalen DeBoer went to the national championship last year with a team that had less talent. Um, A&M is looking very solid, like you were saying. If they can get through the SEC and win out, and they have a schedule that leans towards them. Like it it's a hopeful schedule for A&M. The remainder of their SEC slate outside of Texas. I think that Texas is going to be really their big test, and if they can get through the rest of the SEC, beat Texas, go to the SEC championship, win or lose in the SEC championship, they'll get into the playoff. So A&M is even, I think, could cause issues. A lot of people don't realize this, but A&M, their ratings, their composite rating for talent on that team, that roster, is top 10. They have a top 10 talent roster at A&M.
Mhm.
And you could even say maybe Ole Miss, if they get it figured out, they could possibly get in there and cause issues because Ole Miss has a bunch of talent. I'm not saying that Ole Miss is for sure going to make it, but I'm saying that if Ole Miss did get in there, I think that they would be a contender. Let's not forget about Tennessee. Tennessee still only has one SEC loss. They could get it together, and that high-octane offense could be an issue. Whenever I compare the two conferences, to me, I just see more firepower and potential playoff disruptors in the SEC than I do in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't think. Here's my prediction on this. I think Alabama loses to Tennessee. They beat Missouri and they beat LSU. Then I see teams like Tennessee losing to Georgia.
Yeah.
That's going to be a loss.
Well,
They
LSU,
might
sorry
be.
to cut you off real quick, but LSU, that's another one. They only have one loss right now. You
True.
know, in
But
Brian
here,
Kelly. Brian Kelly is
but
one
here,
has gotten there before, gotten the distance. But go on,
yeah.
Derek.
But here's the thing. Tennessee's going to lose to Georgia. That'll be two losses. Alabama's going to lose to Tennessee. That'll be two losses. But there'll be those other two teams. But when you go to like LSU, let's look LSU.
Yeah.
LSU's going to lose to A&M. LSU could possibly lose to Arkansas.
Right.
LSU could lose to Alabama.
Right.
Or wait, no, yeah, that's right. And
Right.
then
You're right.
you you're starting to look at teams losing,
Right.
and,
And
and
that's
it
why I
looking
didn't
really bad.
include LSU in that earlier. I think it is a possibility, but LSU they have a tough road ahead of them. They really do.
Yeah, but if Alabama loses to Tennessee, you know
Right, but man,
that
you are
brings it down.
discounting Alabama, man. You really are. And we'll get into that into another segment because I've
They're
got
going to
some
lose to
things.
Oklahoma too.
I got some things to tell Derek in the next segment. But yeah, I don't know, Derek, you still taking the Big 10?
Yep, Big Ten all the way.
All right,
Final
that's
answer.
fair. All right, then. Well, I guess we're going to close this one out. Guys, if you liked this video, please like this video, subscribe. It really does help push our videos out there to a larger audience. There's also a notification bell for you guys to hit if you want to get notified when we drop a video. It really would help too if you guys commented down below. Let us know your thoughts. It's interesting to read different people's takes on where they think some of the teams are at, some of the conferences, and what could happen. I'd like to know if you guys think the SEC is still the strongest conference in college football right now, or if you guys agree more with Derek and that because of the rankings right now and where everything is, if you think that the Big Ten is the strongest conference right now. Um, until then, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.